Howdy folks, Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and we have Pocket Change Market Report time, this time for May 10th, 2023. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, at the blink of an eye, we're already way through the month. We are almost to that tipping point, which is normally Memorial Day. How will the market perform after Memorial Day as we head into summer? This is something that we're going to have to keep a close eye on because we generally leverage a lot of the coins that we find out there in circulation through roll hunts, going to the coin shows and shops to resell. So if things are truly kind of back to normal and we're going to be in what we call kind of this normal summer cycle when it comes to the hobby, then I would expect sales to slow down a little bit, okay? Like it had been doing previous to the pandemic. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we had just kind of like the same normal market ebbs and flows that we haven't seen in quite a while. You know, it slows down during the summer, picks back up in the fall. It's like clockwork, and then we just haven't seen any of that because a lot of folks during this time of the pandemic, they were out collecting all year round. Now, there are, of course, other things that could possibly kind of skew the, how the market performs. Like what's precious metals going to do? Is it going to continue to have a really healthy support where there's big monstrous premiums on physical silver? It really, I don't know. That usually kind of plays a little bit of a role in it as well. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. But yeah, I mean, the market so far is still puttering along pretty well. And if I were going to guess at any one part of numismatics, the market that's going to maybe take a little bit of a break, it's going to be errors and varieties. Okay, and then that's why I do this video. Where are they selling today? Should you, sell yours while the money's good? Those are things you're going to have to ask yourself. But I'm just providing you guys up to the minute market data on some of the things that normally sell week in and week out. And, if anything changes, I'll let you know. So a few other things to keep in mind as we're going through the last 24 to 48 hours of eBay market activity, realized sales. All the coins that we talk about are ungraded. The big reason why is a lot of the errors and varieties that are out there today sell for themselves. There's generally no reason why you would ever have to grade any of these coins. I would say 99.9% of all the material out there, just sell it the way it is. And you're going to realize the best market that you can for the coin as long as you're able to take great photos and things like that. Speaking of photographs, the other point I wanted to draw to your attention is the fact that we are using the list, the respective sellers listing photos. Okay, we're not changing them any, we're not doctoring them or making them appear a lot better than they actually are. You get to see the best and the worst of what these folks have been posting, and you might even get a little photography lesson out of it as well. So one of the things I wanted to bring up, like I normally do on every Wednesday edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, is my whatnot kind of preview period for the Friday shows. We do have a U.S. type and silver coin showcase that's going to be coming up here this Friday, like normal. It's been a lot of fun. We had a really successful Bargain Bin Tuesday last night, and this Friday, no exception. All right, May 12th, be there, have fun, and possibly win a few coins for yourself as well. So that begins at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information, I do have a referral link to sign up onto the platform. I think it's way better than eBay, in my humble opinion. It's very seller centric, which for once I enjoy that and I welcome that. And it's good to have a company that truly has your back as a seller. So yeah, go ahead and check things out. If you're interested, go ahead and claim your $15 in store credit by using my referral link down below in the description box. I will also have it tagged in the comments area of this video. So without waiting too much longer, how about we jump in and see what's been selling here in the last day or two? So one of, I guess, we have a few lots, nothing too crazy here today. We have a lot of 3 blank planchets. These are all of what they call the Type 2 varieties because they all have rims on them. You know, these coins have gone through the upsetting mill, or these planchets rather. They haven't been struck at all yet. So these things are ready for strikes. And we have a dime, we have a quarter, and a $half. All right, the $half, and I would say, you know, probably the quarter, those blank planchets do command a little bit of an up premium in today's market because of their relative size. But things like dimes, nickels, and Lincoln cent blank planchets are quite common out there. So they're not really realizing as much for those particular examples. So this 3 lot of blank planchet Type 2s ended up selling for $56 with 16 bids. So that's how we're going to kind of kick things off. And, you know, we look at lots as a way of possibly buying into them and then reselling the coins individually, you know, and then kind of realizing the potential where you can make some money doing it that way. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I like talking about lots. We usually bring those up on a PCMR on occasion, if it makes sense. But we also talk about a few of them that don't quite make sense, and you also have to keep an eye out for those. The next 2 coin lot that we have here, we have a pair of 1979 Lincoln Memorial cents. Both are off-center struck. The coin to the left, where we would assume it's a Philadelphia minted coin, although there's not enough room under the date to know if it's either a P or D. All right, Philadelphia minted coins won't have a mint mark at all. But that particular coin looks like it's about 50% off center, while the coin on the right is a Denver, and that one's about 55-60% off center. Both relatively good looking coins. The Denver has a little bit of color to it. Little oxidation on there. These are, I'd like to say they're problem free. Can't really put too much, I guess, say in whether or not the color on the Denver coin is artificial or the real deal. Me personally, I'm not liking the look of it as from a natural toning aspect. But if you like the error the way that it is, you could hardly go wrong here. Now, the 2 coin set that you see here sold for $56.51 with 21 bids. Not looking like there's a whole lot of opportunity to buy these to resell. I think between the $25 and $30 mark for each coin respectively is all the market for these. We also have this other 2 coin lot here, and as you could guess, these lots are from the same seller. We have actually a really nice tougher duo, date-wise, 1968D and a 69D, both off-center. The 68D with its full date, very meaningful to collectors. That one is about 70% off-center. And then the 69D, we're probably looking about 30% off-center for that one. So again, very attractive coins. I would say for the most part, problem-free here as well. And this 2 coin lot sold for $56.51 with 18 bids. Again, we're in the same boat. You could probably squeeze maybe $35, $40 per coin if you're going to resell these. So you can make a few dollars, but again, you know, if you're going to be listing these as buy it now type listings, they might be sticking around for a little while. So just keep that in mind. These are great to supplement your store, you know, while you sell other items through regular auction format. And this one's actually kind of cool because it's a date that we don't see that often. So it's either an off-center struck coin or a broad strike. It's pretty close here on this 1938 Lincoln wheat cent. It's quite minor in a way, but at the same time, it's not something that we normally see on much older dated coins. A lot of these have been cherry-picked and scooped up a long time ago. So, I mean, great looking coin, very, very nice. I don't see anything too distracting. A little bit of kind of like a smudge stain on the reverse there. But all in all, one ended up selling for $54.04 with 17 bids. So again, very healthy market. When we get older, as far as off-center strikes, these things, they begin to enhance in value a lot higher than some of the more modern stuff. Don't usually talk about bullion, generic silver rounds, off centers, because they do pop up on occasion, and a lot of people who are in the error community, they really don't put these as high on a pedestal as they normally would on a U.S. coin or anything sovereign in nature. But it's worth noting that there is a little bit of a market here for these, and could it be geared toward error bullion collectors? It could be. There are people that actually pay attention to that particular segment of the market, but maybe just regular stackers might want something like this as kind of like a side piece, kind of like a centerpiece of the side collection, I suppose. And you got to realize that even mid-error bullion coins, you will pay a premium. In this particular case, something like this would typically sell for about $30 in today's market, and that's with a little bit of a $4 to $5 premium above spot value, I suppose. But this ended up selling for $84.95 with 24 blistering bids. So there was a good deal of activity. There was a lot of people that were genuinely interested in this, and this is the popular kind of like silver trade design with the scales on the front, and then the eagle on the reverse that says "In God We Trust." These things will always be popular among stackers, and then an off-center struck one is just simply icing on the cake. Our first piece of currency, and we do have a few of them highlighted today, we have a misaligned sheet here. The overprint is perfectly centered on the note itself, but however, that second print, where all the base print of the front of the note with George Washington and the four corner ones there, all printed cattywampus. So when we look at the back of the note, I mean, it's fine. It's not perfectly centered, but it's within tolerances. It just looks like a normal note. So we have a drastic misalignment on that second print on the front. This one ended up selling for $80. So again, we have currency that is being scooped up from all facets, from paper money print errors to fancy serial numbers and duplicate star notes and things like that, are all kind of like hitting its stride right now. And we've seen just all of a sudden an emergence of the paper money market here in 2023. How long it continues to go is anybody's guess. I mean, while it's, come out of its shell, it didn't explode like a lot of other collectibles did in 2020. So it's kind of like this low, slow climb to the top, but it's been very gradual for about the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months since the beginning of the year. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. The paper money market, again, is heating up. Pretty nice one here. A very nice gem red 1972 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is actually a well-known doubled die obverse. It's the FS108 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. You should all be looking at all of the 1972 Phillies that you come across, because you just never know what you're going to find. So we have some pretty nice doubling in the word Liberty. You also have a little bit of doubling on the date. You can see the stretched out numerals in there. But also, one of the more important spots is the motto, "In God We Trust," shows a pretty significant amount of doubling for the 108. Now, the 108 is one of the more common doubled dies for the date. You could probably add in the 103 as well, and 107. So this particular coin ended up selling for $45.50 with 10 bids. And a lot of that has to do with the overall condition as well. It's very attractive. So one of my favorite series to cherry pick, because you could look at coins of this particular condition type for around that $3 to $6 range, anything VFXF, and find yourself a really nice snow variety. All right, and there's quite a few of them for the 1900s, like 1903, '05, '06, and '07 are like 4 of the top dates that I personally like to pursue myself. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of snow varieties. So we have another one here on an otherwise top-notch looking coin. I would say it's like an XF plus, XF 45, AU 50 type level of coin here. This is snow number 10. So it's a repunch date. And there's 2 different things that you're going to look out for on this coin. First and foremost, the snow 10 has a die gouge from the denticles here to the top of the A. So that's actually a raised feature there. But your repunching is going to be on the 6. So you can see that extra curl to 6 there. And a little bit on the inside here as well. Not one of the strongest snow varieties, but it's definitely one worth paying attention to. And you'd be surprised, if the condition of the coin is nice enough, just a average kind of like repunch date like this one will elevate a coin that normally you could buy for like $5. And in this particular case, this one ended up selling for a $50 bill. I mean, you cannot beat that at all. So if you're looking for a series where you could really make an impression and you have a few coin shops that you could cherry pick, I would certainly entertain Indian Head Cent hunting, because it's done me well over the past, and I'm sure it's going to do quite its fair share for a lot of you that have some untapped potential that nobody's ever looked at. So yeah, I mean, the coin that continues to make waves here in 2023 has to be the VDB-V Lincoln Shield Cent. Again, it's really unexplained. I know Ken Potter was actively researching this. He came up with a kind of like semi-conclusion, but he's not 100% done investigating this coin. However, if you look at the base of Lincoln's bust, where VDB initials are, that's Victor David Brenner, the designer of the Lincoln Cent obverse. There's an extra V anomaly after the B. So it's not quite close together. It's far enough away to kind of set its own kind of area on the coin. But still very intriguing, and these things are still strong sellers. There's been probably 3 or 4 of them just in the last day that sold, all pretty similarly, might I add. This one sold for $55.25. Again, the more BU Mid-State Red examples are going to command more of the market than examples that are already pretty well circulated. We also have this one here, just a simple sheet clip on this 1964 Jefferson nickel. It's a Denver as well. Nothing too crazy. I mean, this is something you can find on occasion. This one ended up selling for $13.99 here in the last day or so. So just to let you guys know, one of the more common errors in collecting can be sold for easily $10 or more. So always look out for these. And another one for you folks that like to hunt through candy half dollars, the 1972 D is one of the big dates of candy half dollars, where you can find the missing FG initials reverse, like this one here. So it's a well-known cherry picker's guide variety, and the nicer the condition of the coins, the more that they're going to be worth. Like this one has some circulation wear. I would say it's probably like a low-end AU condition coin, but how these particular varieties occur is just simply an over polishing of the die in that particular area. Plus, you could probably attribute some filled die action on there as well. But a lot of people are pointing towards it being an over polished die. So this one sold for $15.50, which is, last time I checked, slightly more than 90% half dollar. So keep that in mind. Always a great kind of prospect type item to find when you do, because it's worth its weight in silver. This one is actually particularly neat. I haven't seen one of these, but this one was dubbed as a Starburst on this John Quincy Adams. It's a 2007 Philly coin, and you can see the Starburst pattern in the fields of the coin. And what we have here is actually quite simple. It's just die flow. So when the coin was struck, you have the die flowing, the metal flowing as it's being squeezed, and the immense amount of pressure that it takes to strike these coins will produce those flow lines like you see here. There's even a little bit of die flow here on the reverse as well, right here in the United States. So you can see some of that patterning as well. This one surprisingly sold for $18.50 with 4 bids. So maybe another thing to be on the lookout for, because there is some interest here for these. Our next piece of currency, 1974 $1 bill. This one is actually really nice. Very nice, well-kept note. The front of the note really not displaying anything that draws your attention, but when we flip the note over, oh, guess what? They forgot to print the reverse print. So a number of these have shown up in the market, most notably on Heritage Auctions. Has sold a few of these, and they all came from like the 1974 print period, like this one. This particular note sold for $120. So it's pretty wild that you can find something like this, and the note is in like nice enough condition that it was probably held on to when it was new. And I don't see any folds or anything like that. So it's got a little paper wave on there. But overall, just a really cool score. And when you're able to find one like this that is relatively untouched and kind of virgin to the circulation space, this is a pretty neat one here. I mean, speaking of neat, check this one out. 2017 S-Mint. This is actually a Business Strike Unk S-Mint coin on this George Rogers Clark. Now, you guys remember, and they still do it today, they produced uncirculated S-Mint coins. All, might I add, with relatively low mintages. Like, they didn't produce a lot of these, maybe 400,000 or 500,000. They're quite low. But somehow, some way, some of these ended up in circulation. Probably the people that bought them from the mint just really stopped caring about it, and they just needed that extra $10. So they end up cracking these things open and sending it out into the world. You just never know. But someone did come across this particular example with a pretty nice size strike through on the obverse. So you could see that there in front of Washington's face. It goes actually into Liberty, or United rather. But yeah, that was at one point a big honking gob of grease on the die that produced the effect that you see here. So this one ended up selling for $15.59. Again, a lot of that has to do with sorry about it. That keeps popping up. Drives me nuts. Anyways, yeah, I need to turn that off. But anyways, $15 bill here for this one. And it could have sold for a lot more if and only if the condition was a lot nicer. But people are finding these S-Mint uncirculated coins, and they're kind of tripping people up. Just to let you know, they did produce clad versions of the uncirculated type in limited quantities. Really nice error, very dramatic to the eye. 1983 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is what they call a double struck error. So the secondary strike is roughly 80% off center. No readable second date on there. That would make it extra special, but pretty decent example. And this one looks like it's circulated a little bit. I mean, I kind of find that weird and hard to believe that something like this would pass through a number of hands, judging from its condition. This one right here sold for $54.99. I guess it's appropriate to say, look out for these in your pocket change, because apparently people do use these to pay for stuff, and it shows. Another really amazing one here. Again, there's something about 1974. Like, they couldn't do it right, obviously. And, thankfully for us as collectors, we respect that in a good way. So this $1 bill right here just shows general circulation wear on the front of the note. You got 3 distinct folds. When we flip it over, we have a pretty nice full 100% front to back wet ink transfer. So you have the entire front front design that's been transferred over to the back of the note. And that's all of a result of some ink on the impression cylinder. It's kind of like a die clash in coin, kind of coin speak for errors. So this one is 100% very nice. These are very well collected. This one ended up selling 1 penny shy of a C note. So almost $100 here for this one. And that seems to be the going rate for full 100% transfers of this type. Here's our other double struck coin, 1985p Jefferson nickel. Now this one is a little bit more attractive. First of all, it's a nickel, so it's just a much better looking, presentable coin than the Lincoln cent. And we have what I feel like is a much more attractive secondary strike that is off center with the front of Jefferson's face on there. No second readable date. I think in this case it's okay. Unfortunately, there is a reverse image of this coin, but I didn't want to show you the nasty, dirty fingernail of the individual that was selling it. He was actually holding the flip open, and it's not pretty. So I elected not to add it on there, so that way we could all keep our breakfast and lunch in our stomach. But anyways, this coin, again, very attractive. It's going to be very well collected for years to come. This one ended up selling for $126.50 with 34 bids. So very strong prices on coins that are in much better visual condition compared to the previous coin. Throwing in a little bit of an older type coin, 1889 Seated Liberty Dime. This is actually a very well-known Cherry Picker's Guide variety. It's a doubled die reverse, FS801. If you look on the reverse and you look on the entire left side of the wreath, you can see the doubled leaves on there. Pretty strong. It's one of the strongest doubled dies that you will find and encounter in this particular series. This one ended up selling for $110. The seller even made mention that this is an AU condition coin, and I couldn't disagree more. This is probably more along the lines of like a VF35 XF40. Nowhere near close to being AU on this one. And here's one actually that was found in a brand new bankroll of Maryland quarters, as stated by the seller. We have a 2000p Maryland here, slightly a little bit off center, but more appropriately it's a partial tilted collar, so the collar wasn't fully engaged the way it's supposed to. It's a little bit tilted, thereby creating the effect that you see here. Again, really pretty looking coin, very nice high mint state example, and this one sold for $24.25. And the one that caught me by surprise, I've seen one of these before, but this one is a lot bigger, okay? They call this one the meteor hitting the dome of Monticello. And what's even crazy, if you look close enough, there's quite a bit of erosion in the dome of Monticello of this. And I think it looks so amazing. It's like the second coming of the apocalypse. It looks like Independence Day #2. It's just wild. And, again, placement. It's everything when it comes to these strike throughs. Plus, you could also see those little kind of diagonal lines coming out of the top of Monticello. Those are feeder finger scrapes. So there's got to be more of these. I think this one sold for a song at only $9.99. But there aren't too many of these. There's probably been a couple that have been found and subsequently sold. And a lot of the strike throughs that we've seen on this particular date, 2022, again, I just wanted to reiterate that, have been on the obverse, right? So I think that's the Smoking Tom error of that type that everybody's got that fixation for. So this is another one. I think this one is a lot more intriguing. It's showing just a good deal of everything that you're looking for the namesake, that the meteor. And I would love to see more examples of this, because they're going to be in like different shapes and sizes and things like that. But there you go. $10 bill for this, I think, is a cheap bargain type of buy here for something like this. Pretty nice one here, 1989 P Washington quarter. It's off center by about 30%. You know, again, this is going to be hunted down by date collectors of these errors. And this one sold for $44.99 with 17 bids. And 1918 D, another wild one. Lincoln Shield cent. Defective planchet error is what we got here, and it's an attached lamination. So if you peeled that thing back, you're going to see just zinc underneath it. All right, so make sure you don't do that. Just keep it the way it is, and you'll do okay. This one sold for $17. So again, it's got some value in there. You know, always pull these aside if you do have them. They're worth way more than 1 cent. Another tough one here, 1970 D Lincoln Memorial cent. It's off center by about 50-55%. Again, another great date, full date with a mint mark. This one sold for $39.99. So again, date collectors are going to look for things like this. And a relatively rough Wounded Eagle. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is like an incredibly super duper common Cherry Picker's Guide variety. It's the FS901. I mean, I don't need to reintroduce this again and again and again and again, because it's just these things are all over the place. I would suspect that the mint probably cranked out 50 to 100,000 of this variety, and that's how common it is. But this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, has a pretty nice contact mark, which is unfortunate. But you could see the raised die gouge pair right here. And, you know, all that great stuff, you know, ends up still being worth something to somebody. As a matter of fact, in this condition, this coin sold for $66.45 with 13 bids. Like me personally, I've never owned one of these, but if I had the ability to look for these coins, I certainly would, because they're all over the place and it's like easy money. It's shooting fish in a barrel easy if you're willing to put in a little work. Last few coins here. This was actually pretty neat. 2009 Philly, Washington, D.C. quarter. And the seller said it's a Denver, but this one obviously shows a P mint mark. Check out the doubled piano key right there. The second piano key, very, very noticeable, I would say. So, yeah, this one ended up selling for $39 with 19 bids. I'm sure there's an attribution number for this through like Wexler or Dr. Wiles. So always look out for those. And again, another sharp one here. And we're going to finish it off on one of the true blue mint errors that are worth some good money today, and that's Cuds. We have another Cud die break, this time on a 1944 Lincoln Wheat cent, as you can see there at the base of Lincoln's bust, showcasing some pretty strong stuff. And this one sold for $52.87. 26 bids strong to prop that one up. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, for checking things out on the good old Pocket Change Market Report. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. It's always a pleasure. Well, it's up to you guys. Go out there, get some hunting done, and report back to me about what you have found. I may highlight you on the next PCMR. You never know. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. I am out of here. You guys have fun. Enjoy the hunt. Best of luck. And I will see you on the next coin video. So long.